Good afternoon and welcome to the Betting Connection podcast. My name's Chris. I'm here as always with my co-host Rob. Rob, how are you doing today? You getting the swing of doing these podcasts?
Hi Chris. Thanks for asking. I'm doing good. Still a little bit, as you talked about before, it's strange to hear your own voice. Definitely with my accent now and then. I think it's still, do I need to work on it or just leave it like that? I'm not sure. I'm just gonna go with with me today again, getting the hang of it a little bit. Maybe the listeners need to tell us. Um, how are you?
I'm good, Rob, and don't worry about your accent. We love the Dutchies over in England, so absolutely loving
Ah, thanks.
the combination between my Cockney accent and your Dutch accent. Great. I'm doing fine, Rob. Apart from the fact that it's international break, I absolutely hate it. I'll be honest. Don't love the football on show that's going to happen from today with the international matches. We just had a whole summer of it, so completely bored of that. Prefer the domestic leagues, and not just for viewing entertainment, but also for betting as well.
I do
So,
think that
what do you think? What do
with
you think about the
the
international break?
I do think like the Nations League now so shortly after the Euros is too short for me. But
Hmm.
in a way, I like the Nations League. I prefer to just playing friendlies all the time. Now you can see like the bigger countries playing against each other, and normally you would see eight friendlies that will be like 4-0, 5-0, 5-1, and just playing for nothing. So I think it's good that they have the Nations League so soon after European Championship. That might be too close, and I don't like it that we're like three matches in the leagues, and now we already have a break again. And it would be better if you had like 10 matches, then maybe some some international matches. That's my opinion.
I think I've seen Wenger once said that he would prefer that all of the season's international matches were done in like 1 month. Like the whole domestic league would come to a halt for a month, a little bit like the summer season. Do it kind of mid-season, get all the matches done. So you're not having a break every 3 weeks, and that would also help with traveling time and fatigue and things like that. So he mentioned that years ago, but obviously it's something I don't think we'll ever see. But this you just feel like the season's getting into it, getting good rhythm, and then it just goes to another 2 week halt. So frustrating,
No, it's teaching you self-discipline, and and you have to wait a little bit longer. It's fine.
I certainly don't bet as much during this period as well. So it's also a little bit of keeping discipline with that as well. And in regards to the podcast this week, obviously it changes a little bit of the structure that we've done over the last 2 weeks because we have had a style, a few different topics and themes that we've been doing. Less betting this week. So what we're going to do this week, Rob, is just going to have a little chat about last week, just overview of the matches, the overview of our picks as well from last week on the podcast. We're going to have a little "What did we learn?" section before going into a few picks that we do have on football, NFL, which the season starts this weekend, and a little bit of a US Open tennis catch up before we get into the bet of the week, which we always finish the podcast with our bet of the week. So that's where we're going this week, Rob.
Sounds good. Ready to go.
Okay, let's go then. So last week, first and foremost, I think we need to talk about the Liverpool spanking of Man United. Were Liverpool that good or were Man United that bad?
Um, that's a tough question. Tough question after two matches.
Probably a bit
Back
of both,
this
right?
time. Yeah, it could have been both, definitely. Liverpool, I like that I think Slot is different to Klopp in a way that not every ball has to go forward all the time. And sometimes it's maybe a bit smarter to wait, go back for one, keep the ball in your possession before you go attack again. That's what he always does. I think I listened to an interview with him, and he talked about that, and I really like that. Yeah, he wanted to go off that style, and he's very strategic, and yeah, he does a great job. He dismantled Man United, and yeah, they looked very promising, but still a lot to play for.
Yeah, it's a long way to go. I think it's too early to draw too many conclusions, good or bad. But it's worry. I think Man United fans need to be worried. My view on Ten Hag is he's a little bit detached from reality. When you hear some of the things he says after a match in an interview, I'd be completely worried if a United fan listened to some of that. I think that they really didn't set themselves up for a good season when basically at the end of last season United went around and interviewed every single manager on the market, basically got rejected by everybody, and then kind of gave the back into Ten Hag afterwards. I mean, it's like it's
He gave the
literally
bank
like
account as well.
it's just crazy. I mean, it's like I mean, basically, it's like going out for a night out, and go leave your girlfriend at
Yeah,
home, go out for a night out, go and try and crack on every single woman in the club, get rejected, come back and say, "Oh, I love you, darling."
yeah.
It's like it's it's crazy, and I think I thought it was
But
weird at
but
the time, and
what else should he do? Like if I was Ten Hag, yeah, like I don't know really what he said in the interviews, but if I'm in Ten Hag's position, like if you can't leave either, because where would he go next? He would never be in the same league. Like now he has like a fighting chance, or at least he thinks so. So like what he has to do
yeah,
this. I think I
yeah,
would
from
do the same thing as Ten Hag in
yeah,
his position.
from his point of view, he's going down fighting, and I respect him a lot for that. But his point, and he keeps making it again and again, is the trophies they've won, and basically he's saying that he's the second most successful to Man City at the moment. It's like I do understand that point, and obviously he has got a point with that, but this is Man United we're talking about, and really it's about are they close to competing for the league and the Champions League, and that is a
No,
resounding no. Yeah,
no, and
Arsenal
with
Arsenal
Liverpool we
went through
don't
a
know.
period. Sorry, say that again. Sorry, Rob.
With Liverpool we don't know yet. Like I think Arsenal and Manchester City are like the clear favorites still. Yeah, you're gonna talk a little bit about Arsenal, I think, now. So what's your
It's more
opinion about
well, no,
Arsenal?
it was more not so much about Arsenal now. It was more about like comparing it with Ten Hag's Man United. Like towards the back end of Wenger's reign, it was horrible. It was a horrible last 10 years. It really was. But we won a lot of FA Cups in that time. But there was no Arsenal fan at that time thinking that we were progressing or we were close to competing for the league. It was like, yeah, the FA Cups were nice. They're always a nice day out, and yes, it's silverware, but no one was disillusioned by the fact that we were miles off it. And now that's the same thing that's happening at Man United, and it's about competing for the league. When you're Man United, winning trophies is great, but only if you're also doing the rest of it, and that is competing for the league, being top four always, and being the Man United of old. And they're so far off it, it seems, and I don't think the season's going to be much better than last.
They better focus on the trophies again then.
Yeah, well, I don't see any other. I mean, obviously, top four can always happen, and that should be their prime target. But yeah, I can't see it based on that performance. I mean, Liverpool were literally it looked like a training session at times, literally like keep ball. It was a bit embarrassing for United. But on the other half of Manchester, Man City, they're looking ominous again, and Rodri hasn't even kicked the football this season. Haaland, what can we say? 7 goals in 3 games. What can we say about Haaland?
Again, he hit the ground running. Like I think he did that last season, and I think the season that he came over as well. He always plays very well in the beginning of the season, and I think we thought that as well. Like his first season, he started off so good. This year, it's all about him. He's the key player at the moment because if you look if I'm looking at the list of the players that are playing now, it's hard to find like that key player. I think De Bruyne doesn't always play at the moment because of his injury. And Haaland just delivers. He just keeps on delivering.
Yeah, I mean it's worrying, worrying for the rest of the league. If you ask me, I actually heard a stat this week that Holland is the first player in the top leagues to this century to have scored 7 goals in the first 3 matches. So it's the first player this century. That's like 24 years old, and he's the only player to score 7 goals in the first 3 matches. It's just every season, every week, he seems to be breaking a different record. It's crazy. It's crazy.
How many goals do you think he's going to score in the Premier League this season?
In the Premier League or total?
Total. Premier League, just Premier League.
Premier League alone. I mean, what did he do the season before last? It was, I can't even remember what he did, but I mean, he's definitely going to be 40 plus, isn't it? Like it's crazy. 30 always used to be an outrageous number, but he's 40 plus potentially. And you're
Wow,
talking,
I think that's outrageous. 40? I can't see that happening. I think,
it's outrageous. Like he got more than 30 the season before last for sure.
yeah.
Um, so I mean, 40 sounds outrageous because he's averaging a goal a game. Basically, it's 38 games.
Okay, we
He
need
can
a
do it.
number. We need a number.
I'm going to go 40. I'm going to go 40.
Okay, I'm gonna go 37.
37. I mean, it's not far off, is it?
Okay,
Is
I will go, wait, I will change it. I will change to 34 to make it a little bit more
34. Okay.
interesting.
Okay, 34. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, as long as he stays fit as well, obviously that's a big part of it. But last season he had a little injury.
Yeah, look,
But yeah,
always the
it's looking more.
Pep roulette always comes when they go further in the Champions League. You always know when they're doing well in the Premier League. He sometimes rests Haaland for these games.
Yeah, it's not that many though. Maybe like in the midweek when there's 3 matches in a week, maybe. But yeah, it's he's quite robust as well, generally, Haaland as well. So yeah, good signs for Man City, and it's looking ominous for the rest really at this stage. But again, very early. Okay, going on to our picks from last week then. We had a few successes. It wasn't as perfect as the first podcast, but we had a lot of successes. The first one being your Celtic to beat Rangers, and in the end, that was very comfortable, right?
Very comfortable. I watched parts of that game, and it just looked like Celtic were all over the field. They were left and right. They had a lot of chances as well to get a couple more goals in there. Um, just as predicted. If you look at it from a betting point of view, Celtic kept the same coach, everything. The key players stayed around. They even added a few quality players as well. And Rangers, on the other hand, is still searching a little bit. They had like the 6-0 win before the game prior to the Celtic game. I think it helped to get this odd on this match. Like 1.6
Yeah.
was quite rich in my opinion. Like it was, in my opinion, there was a bigger difference. Like 1.6 is not the biggest price. I didn't want to put a handicap on it. I don't really like to put a handicap on games because yeah, like a team doesn't need to win with an extra goal sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I take the risk, and a win is a win. And 1.6, very glad. Keep an eye on Celtic.
Yeah, I actually saw, you know what? I saw it right before kickoff go to 1.65 as well. I was already on at 1.6 like we discussed on the pod, but I did see it go to 1.65 quite close to the kickoff in some sites as well. So definite value. And as you say, probably because of Rangers' previous big win the following the previous weekend. So yeah, there was a good value. Definitely, it does feel like there's a massive difference between the two teams at the moment. That was clear towards the end of last season, and as you say, nothing's really changed. And I mentioned on the pod last week that Brendan Rodgers seems absolutely hell bent on this treble this year. So yeah, it felt
Could,
like a good
could they
bet
go
and turned out
unbeaten?
it can be absolutely. That will definitely be a target of his, 100%.
I think so, yeah. I think so. Okay, then we have France. Viva la France. You had some
People of
great picks
France.
over there.
Yeah, well, I had two picks, Marseille and Brest, both won, both won fairly comfortably as well. So I was happy with both of those. The French league's a funny one. I like it generally. Once the season settles down a little bit, I feel like a home win is always a fairly good bet in the France League. I'm not sure of the statistics on it. I will find out as we go along. But yeah, home wins generally. When obviously this was one home, one away. But yeah, French League generally, I like looking for good value on home wins. Marseille, as mentioned last week, I just fancy them for a really strong season. They
Yeah.
had a little hiccup, but yeah, they were back to looking
Yeah,
good
but
last
even in
weekend.
that match, they had so many chances. They should have won that match as well. The match that
Yeah,
I think they drew, I think as well. Um, but they look
yeah,
very
and
impressive. For me, Marseille is definitely a team to watch in the French league. Definitely because I think are they playing in Europe? They're not, right?
no,
So
no,
that makes them even more interesting. Just focus on one game every week, and if you're
yeah,
off to a good start, why not give it a go?
they invested a lot in the summer as well. So yeah, I'd definitely keep an eye on Marseille going forward. We didn't do much predicting in the English Premier League last week. We did mention two teams, and we did mention that it would be quite a good idea to put them as a double. That was Aston Villa and Man City, and that turned out to be the case.
Yes, as you said, I think in the previous part, Manchester City was also quite a big price for a Manchester City win. And they didn't lose, I think, in the last 10 years in the league to West Ham. And yeah, they did a good job. And Villa as well. Villa is a team to watch. I really think I really like Villa. Like they're very steady. I think when in my memory, like 10 years ago, Villa would never be like a top six team or anywhere close to that. But I think the last couple of years they invested quite smartly. They have a good coach, I think a very good coach, and it's very calm and steady, and they keep delivering.
Yeah, we just saw value on both of these prices, and I think like Matt, I said it on the pod. If you ever get Man City around like 1.4, 1.5, I mean, you have to take it regardless of who they're playing. But the form and history between them and West Ham was, it all pointed towards a Man City win. We didn't put it as an official pick per se because we liked to pick a little bit, better odds in terms of picking singles, but like it was very good value. And Villa, like I didn't understand the Villa odds neither. Like I think we're going to talk about this a little bit later when we're talking in what do we learn section. But Villa lost the previous match to Arsenal, and I think that sometimes that correlates to what the odds are in the following game. But no,
Definitely.
no two losses are equal, right? So, firstly, Arsenal competing for the league. Aston Villa competed in that match. They had their chances. Had Watkins taken one of his two chances, the game could have been completely different, and when they would have come out with a win. And then you're looking at a completely different number when they're playing against Leicester the following week. So these are the things I think that is really smart to keep an eye on. But I think we'll have a little bit more
And
of a chat on that in
definitely
general.
in the beginning of the season, the odds are a little bit more closer to each other. You know, they even it out a
Yeah.
little bit more because they take into account like the team, they have to get together, have to find the rhythm and the form. But in a way, I always find that interesting and an interesting period to bet on because yeah, then you get like those little hidden gems like Manchester City or something for 1.4 that you're never gonna get in 6 months' times when they already won so many matches.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's absolutely the point. And so I think it's important when a team loses, but they actually played well or unlucky, got bad decisions or anything like that. Keep an eye on that team for the next week and see if there's value in the odds in the next match, because I think
Exactly.
there's a little bit of two. Don't forget, somebody out there is predicting these odds initially, and then obviously the more people that bet on things or not, lowers or higher the odds. But
Exactly.
some don't forget how basic they may look at it sometimes. They may just look, all right, they lost last week, or there's a lot that'll go into it, but it can be more basic than we maybe think. So that's where
It,
we, as researchers and fans of football, should really look for those opportunities in the market.
Yeah, it always goes like that. And what I see as well, if you look at like Real Madrid or Barcelona, the closer you come to kickoff, normally the odd goes down. And maybe like
Mhm.
very close to kickoff, you see like a shift upwards or downwards. But mostly when you start on like Thursday, looking at the prices, you get a lot bigger odds on those big teams before you come to Saturday, just before kickoff, then it's already dropped down like it because most people like to bet on the big teams. Most people like to play their favorites, and that's why they are the big teams. So they want to even out their losses or even out their wins. So the odds will that always change. Definitely when there's a lot of money being betted on like a big team.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. I think, like generally speaking, your average better probably bets on the weekend, bets on a Saturday morning.
Exactly.
Um, so if you get in there before, especially with the big teams, you will probably find the only thing that can go against you for doing that is if team news comes out and there's a player missing or something, and sometimes that can then go against you. But generally speaking, all being normal, most people are going to bet on the big teams, whether it's big bets for the whale of a better, and for the lessers, like betting them on Ackers. So they are going to be betted on a lot, and you imagine that the odds would go down close to kickoff. Very good point. Um, and what about Aberdeen, Rob? Aberdeen are so far probably our favourite team this season. The last 2 weeks they have doubled our money. Effectively, they've been
Unbelievable.
evens or longer for the last 2 weeks. Aberdeen, what can we say?
Wow, wow. I watched also partly of that match. It was closer. Sometimes really typical Scottish football. A lot of high balls to the defenders, a lot of headers, a lot of aerial fights up there. Most of the possession for Aberdeen, they always try to make it work, but it doesn't always happen. Definitely, if you watch that match, it's not like you're watching Real Madrid passing the ball around to perfectly. There are also a lot of mistakes. But they try to play with a positive mindset, and that's what I like about them. And we got lucky this time. You have some winners, you have some losers. This time it was a winner. I think it was 98-minute goal. So woohoo,
It,
big one.
it was never in doubt, Rob. You and me both know that. But yeah, no. Jokes aside, it was a very late one, and you like to say sometimes they go, sometimes they don't. But it is interesting, Aberdeen. Firstly, let me tell you, I lived in Aberdeen for 6 years of my life, so I've got a little soft spot for Aberdeen. I've been to Pittodrie a fair few times. Probably not that welcome with this accent, but either way, I did go there, and I have a little soft spot for Aberdeen. So it's good to see them starting season so well. Um,
Oh, I, I
yeah,
didn't know that. Yeah, I think I knew it, but I forgot about it. Like totally. I didn't put one and two together in that one. But yeah, you lived
yeah,
in Aberdeen. Oh, you
Rob,
know
it's a
how the
story.
stadium looks like.
It's a story for another day, my friend. But either way, yeah, like Scottish football, yeah, it didn't blow me away. Let's put it that way. But local football, you've got to do it right. So I enjoyed my time in Aberdeen generally very much, and yeah, got to see a few matches along the way. Um, but what I'd say about Aberdeen is keep an eye on them. There's always a team. There's always a team, or more than one team in a season that really surprised, go on a big run, and generally have an amazing season. But the bookies never react to it. Never react. Look at it. The example last season was Verona. Like,
Yeah,
do you remember last year, Rob? Like they got off to this fly, they continued and continued and continued, and the market never really reacted. The amount of times, every time they played away from home, they were better than even money. It's like all season it was like that. Only probably towards the end they reacted, but it was pretty much a whole season of making money off one team last season. Not saying that Aberdeen's that it's a bit of a difficult league, not as many teams, but even still, like if they're playing away, like or playing at home, even to the likes of Hibs or Hearts, another team that's normally more competitive, you might still get good odds. And at the moment, all looks well with Aberdeen.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, and then another success from last week was the big gun Aka, correct?
I think two in a row now. We're two
Two
for
in a
two on
row.
the big on Aka. I
Oh,
think if you add the units that you would have won on both of them would be like seven units, I think.
mm.
So yeah, as I told before, it's a minefield. You always get your losers. But we kept avoiding those big teams that made a mistake. And the big gun Aka delivered. So yeah, we have another one today, yeah.
Another big Anakas. Listen out to that later because absolutely on fire with those at the moment. I'm pleased to say, Rob, I did copy you on this one. I actually added a couple of extra teams to it as well, like which probably it normally ends in failure when I tried to be a little bit greedier. But I saw a couple of other big guns that weren't on there, so I added them in and got even better odds. So yeah, good for the big guns. And as I said earlier, I think good odds at the moment. This early in the season, you're getting better odds on these big guns than later, for sure.
Exactly.
There's always losses. I'd like to say that we can predict 100% winners. If that was the case, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. On my own island somewhere. If it was 100%, there's always losses in the system. But again, our successes far outweighing the losses at the moment. We're on very good form. The losses that we did have was actually back in the French league. You are a bit unlucky with the Monaco. You had them to win. But was it a draw? It was a draw, wasn't it, in the end, Monaco?
Yes, it was a draw. It looked like a very hot day in Monaco. I thought definitely even like they kept 0-0 at halftime. And then I thought, okay, maybe now they're gonna push on because they have better fitness. The other team, I think Lens played in Europe a couple of days before in on an away game. So I even had like I really liked it, but when I watched the match, they didn't convince me that much. Maybe it's just one match, but I keep an eye on Monaco now. It's not on my naughty list yet. We keep going back to the naughty list. I bring it up first. It's not on my naughty list. Maybe it's on yours. They scored 84th minute. I was watching the live updates. I put cover bet on. I always like my cover bets, definitely when you're so close to
Mhm.
full time. You know the feeling when you get that 94th minute penalty against you, and it really hurts. But I always want to get like a cover bet on, and then most of the time I cover it in such a way that I don't lose money on the bet. Sometimes when I feel my cover bet is surely gonna win, like maybe in a tennis match or a different outcome, not like on football. I like to win money, like I try to even it out, but that's it.
Yeah, I think that the cover bet is important when you are betting big singles. You I think the key, like I think I mentioned this in my introduction in the first podcast. I think it's in my strategy is to not lose money. Yeah, that's the first step of betting is not to lose money. So covering bets, making sure you come out with some form of profit is always a good idea when you can do it. And obviously with big accas, when you've only got one team remaining as well is a good time to do it. So yeah, I like to cover bets, but you have to be fully aware of the games when they're happening. But as we are most of the time, always either watching the football or at least following it somehow, then that's not a problem for us. But going back to that match, Rob, we did, yeah, we had a loss with the Monaco call. However, I did put out there a kind of a fun or a weird bet, and that was a penalty to be scored in the match because I mentioned the record of red cards between these two teams, and I put a little 3-1 out there that there could be a penalty to be scored, and that was the case. Although it hurt your bet for the your bet, it did actually. If anyone listened to that and fancied that, then they would have been a winner.
Yeah, good shout out. Good shout out. Really
Yeah,
good.
it was. I couldn't find. I continued to try and find something on the card market, and there were. I think there was 5 or 6 yellow cards in the match in the end as well. So if you did find something on the card market, as I suggested, then that could have been a winner as well. But I couldn't find it on my normal booking site. So anyway, bet of the week last week, Rob. We had perfection the first pod. We both got our bet of the week correct. Last week we both got our bet of the week incorrect. I had Juventus to win, who played out stalemate with Roma, and yours didn't win either. No,
Yes, Fortuna lost. Clearly.
what do we know?
1-1 it remains.
Remains 1-1 between me and Rob for bet of the week.
I think I'm gonna tell a
Yeah.
little bit more about it in the what did we learn section about
Okay.
Fortuna game. So yeah, we'll leave it up for now. I think that's up next, right?
That is up next. So, what did we learn? Okay, what did we learn? Not mentioned on the pod. We didn't talk about this on the pod, but I did put a post out for a treble last week, which was damaged quite early because Arsenal were the first match. Felt really comfortable about that bet. I did really feel comfortable about that bet. Watched the match, and Arsenal did seem to be in control. But there was a red card, yeah, very controversially as well, and it completely changed the match. And really, look, this isn't about learning anything, I suppose, but it just goes to show that no matter how confident you are on a team to win, there's always a chance of losing because there's outside factors that you can't predict in your research. There's always something that could happen. Somebody could get an injury, a stupid penalty, or a red card. Things happen in matches, and it changes. And there's just nothing we can do about it, effectively.
Yes, and I think like also with if you look at like those corner kicks or free kicks as well, like sometimes a team doesn't have a chance in the game and they're just defending, and you can't see where they're gonna score a goal from. But then all of a sudden they get a corner or a free kick and they get a little bit lucky with the header and they're 1-0 up, and that's totally changes the whole game. So yeah, that I think that's also the fun of it, or not the fun of it, definitely when you're on the negative side or on the wrong side of it. But that's the game. It's all in the game. Like it could go either way, and that's why I like the sports betting business, because yeah, you never know, and definitely those big teams, there's a lot at stake, and everybody wants to win their games. There's a lot of passion from everyone, and yeah, a lot of things can change.
Yeah, a lot of things that happen, and to be honest, this is where we have to separate our love for football and separate the betting side of it, because ultimately the reason that we love football as a sport is the unpredictable nature of it. So if you didn't have that, then football would be boring first and
Yeah,
foremost.
and to
Forget
be
the betting.
honest,
Yeah, that. Yeah.
if I look at the Arsenal odd, I think I saw it around 1.4.
Hmm.
Was maybe a bit too short for for playing against Brighton. Like they did beat Manchester United. They were off, like I think the first game they looked really impressive. Maybe was a little bit short. That's why I think you didn't put it in like any longer Akas or like bet of the day, or but looking back at it, that would have been like an odd that maybe in 15 games time would have been a really less good odd to play Arsenal.
I think it probably came from the record that Arsenal have had kind of this calendar year. If you look back at the end of last season into this season, the amount of games that have been won has been astronomical. So I think there has been a bit of bias towards last season. But look, I mean, I think people can probably already guess from the way that I've spoken about Arsenal. That is my team. Probably best if I'm picking Arsenal to avoid it. That is actually another thing with betting that we should probably touch on is that you can always get carried away with a little bit of bias based on the team that you like or support. So that's something to always be careful of. I like to think that I still
Yeah, but you also have a
ultimately
lot of knowledge about those teams. Definitely.
yeah, that's very true as well. So it's hard, but that's why you got to be objective. You've always got to be objective when you look at it. Like Brighton absolutely were a threat. But the game played out kind of how I expected it to. The only thing frustrating as an Arsenal fan was that, you know, Arsenal hadn't scored 2 or 3 goals by half time. The game should have been over before the red card happened. So the game played out how I kind of expected it. And look, I will never just pick up Arsenal on the basis that they're my team. Ultimately, research would always come first when it comes to betting, especially
Yeah,
putting
we've
picks
been
out
doing
there.
that for such a long time that I think that it's it fades away. Like the love for the that I really want to bet on my team. I don't feel the need anymore because I've been through it so many times that you learn from that and then you go on and then you try to look as objective as possible at those games. And then again, if you look at the other, it's very easy for me to say, was it maybe not a little bit too short when the result is 1-1? Um, but the red card changes everything, and it was a very strange red card. So maybe like if it didn't happen, I would be 3-0. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
I, I
it's
I think the
always
game
easy to
was.
say.
It's always easy to say in hindsight, but it's just yeah. The thing about it as well, I suppose incidents like that hurt your bet. That's frustrating, and betting on your own team as well, and it doesn't come in, and it's a double whammy. Like you've lost your bet, your team's lost as well. It's not a nice feeling. So I do tend to stay away from betting for Arsenal, and likewise, like if Arsenal towards the end of the season are in a title race with Man City, I tend not to want to bet on Man City neither because it's betting against what I want. So team, what you want to happen as well. Like I think from a betting angle, I can always compartmentalize them, so it's not something that bothers me too much. But yeah, at times, it's not always the best to bet on your own team or against a team that you strongly want to lose from a personal perspective.
Exactly.
Um, Chelsea. What did we learn about Chelsea? Chelsea are still going to be unreliable this season, I think. I think I mentioned, I'm not sure if it was on the pod or I think I put a post out there. They're going to blow hot and cold, Chelsea. And they're going to catch betters out this season, I think, Rob. Like every time they look like they turn a corner, they look like they might go on a run. Ultimately, they'll probably end up disappointing you. That's my feeling on Chelsea. What do you think?
I saw some very funny pictures, huh? I think made by AI, by the bench of Chelsea that was like a kilometers long and that many players. And then you had like the changing room that was so huge that could fit in like 100 players. And I think that's a problem. It's very hard to keep so many players happy, and it's very hard to find rhythm and form if you're not playing your first 11. I think one of the first rules that I learned from watching English football is if your team, your first 11 wins a game, you put them on the next sheet. You play them next weekend. Nothing, even if you're injured or not injured. If you win, you stay on. And sometimes that holds true. Sometimes it doesn't. There's a lot of games during now, and there's a lot of fitness issues for a lot of players. So you have to keep that in mind. But when you have that many players, definitely in the beginning of the season, I would love to play with a lot of the same players lot of matches, try to get a rhythm going, and when somebody gets injured, then someone else gets a chance. But yeah, you have to keep happy a lot of players. What do you feel? You
Yeah.
already talked about them, right?
Well, no, I'm just, I think, I personally think it's unbelievable what they're doing. I don't understand a player that would buy into that project. I really don't. I don't understand what the selling point is at the
Yeah,
moment.
but if you see the check, if you see the
Yeah,
contract,
but I don't think they're paying. It's the length of the contracts that's what they're doing. They're not paying the players like a ridiculous wage in comparison to any other Premier League team. From what I can see, it's the length of the contract. Now I understand if you're a young player and you haven't 100% made it yet, but you are the hottest talent on the going at the moment. That's what the strategy is from Chelsea. They're trying to sign up hot young talent because they think that they'll get like resale value later on, and they're running it really like a business, and that's why they're trying to get rid of more of the older players like Sterling, like Chilwell, and Jorginho before them, and they're trying to buy the young hot talent, tie them into long contracts, so if they bang, they've got them, and if they don't, they can still sell them for a good profit. But what if none of them bang? You're going to be left with players that you can't sell on really long contracts. So I just don't. I kind of understand what they want to do, but I just don't see it working.
I
And
think
I
they
think
did
they're under.
exactly the same thing 10 years ago, but then the players were 10 years younger. And that's a whole different game. I think
Yeah,
they were buying players, very young players from 16, 17 years old, from Holland, from Belgium, from France, from everywhere. And then even if they didn't make it to the first team, some other team would buy them for a lot bigger prices. And everybody want to be at the Chelsea Academy. But I think it now they're just buying all the players.
I think they're undermining the value, undermining the fact that football is a team sport.
Mm.
I don't know if this strategy is coming from the owner being involved with baseball, where baseball, of course, is a team, but they're very much individual in what they're doing. Yeah, pitching, batting, even fielding to an aspect is very individual. So,
Yeah.
yes, I'm sure team camaraderie works and helps, but not like football. You really just have a close knit team, like real community culture is good, and just doing it this style, buying everybody and anybody. I just can't imagine that it's a good environment to work in on a daily basis. I just can't imagine it. Maybe I'm wrong, but so look, I think it's going to be difficult for them to completely click. So from a betting perspective, what I think my advice would be not to or think right now the corner's turned with Chelsea, because evidently they'll probably let you down, and they did that last season a little bit as well. So I think wait for them to go on a consistent run before betting big on them. Of course, you can always have a little play with them, Ackers and stuff, but I will not be betting big on Chelsea until they prove to me that they're a team capable of going on a 4, 5, 6 game winning streak.
Okay, I agree.
You wanted to talk a little bit about the Fortuna loss of your bet of the week and what this means in general.
Yeah, like Fortuna got off to a great start. Really impressed me. They did quite well. They won two matches. They had a week off. They even played a friendly in there just to keep the rhythm going. And they played against NEC and they got off to a horrible start, but they are like the last couple of seasons, NEC has done a great job. I talked about them, I think, in last podcast. They made it to the final of the Dutch Cup. They just missed out on Europe. They got off to a bad start, but I watched that match and they were in total control of Fortuna. Like Fortuna was playing at home, but they won the first two matches, but you couldn't see them playing. They were not capable of producing the same level as NEC. And what I learned from that is that, like, before the season starts, you hear people talking about a team that's going to do well or not going to do well, and or historically from Fortuna, it's a very it's going to be a very good season if they reach the top 10 in Holland. And NEC is trying to maybe replicate last season and go one step further and try to reach European football. And that team didn't click in the first 2 weeks, but it will come out on top. So I have to keep an eye on those matches as well. And I think definitely in the lower leagues, like not the Premier League, but the Dutch league is definitely Fortuna NEC. The level is totally different to the Premier League, and you see a lot of mistakes. And I think it's easier sometimes to find teams that are not doing well for a couple of weeks, but then they can turn it around, and all of a sudden, you see where they're supposed to go.
Okay, good points. Is there value to be had, or are they just it's just very difficult to predict what kind of standard is going to come out on a weekly basis?
I think in Holland, when I look at it historically, every weekend there normally happens something that you wouldn't expect to happen. But on the other side, the value, when you look at some bets, there's a lot of value on some sides as well. So I think I need a little bit more time to find that team that I think that's trustworthy to
Mhm.
placing bets on. But yeah, we'll find out in the future. I think we'll talk about it later.
Okay, moving on then to this weekend. As we know, it's the international break. I'm not a fan. I think I've made that clear. um, I don't particularly like to bet on international football, to be honest with you. I think the fact that it's Nations League makes it a bit better, not rather than your standard friendly, as at least there is some incentive. So
I
because
definitely
teams
cut
will
my
still.
bet sizes. Like like when I'm playing the Nations League, definitely these matches, I'm definitely cutting my bet sizes because yeah, you never know. You never know. It's so for all the listeners, keep an eye on that because yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of like actually for tonight, but I'm not going to mention that because there's probably a lot of people that listen to this pod after today.
Exactly.
So I've found two teams as a double. So I've got nothing outrageous this weekend. It's just two teams as a double for even money. Okay, and that double is England and Germany to win. Okay. Um, You've got England playing away to Ireland. Okay, there's obviously going to be a hostile atmosphere in this match, but it is Lee Carsley's first match as interim manager of England. He's going to be desperate for this job. Yeah, so he's going to be all out to win this. England have also dropped down to the B group of the Nations League, which is quite embarrassing, I think, especially as Scotland went up to the Nations League A. Um, so we kind of got to be desperate to win this group and make sure that we win it, so we come back up to A for next year. And I think that's what I mean. I prefer the Nations League to normal friendlies because there is something in the background that's riding a little bit more than your usual friendly. So that's why I'd be happy to pick England. I think they're about 1.5, just under, I think. So kind of 1 to 2 in fractions, which is not a bad shout. I mean, if
I
you look
think
at the
it
team,
helps
even
that it's like a rivalry as well.
yeah, of course, being a rivalry, you've got to be switched on. It's going to be really embarrassing for England to lose this match. So there is a lot of incentive behind it. We need to win this group. Carsley wants the job, and yeah, you've got the rivalry as well. There are some players out. Cole Palmer's not playing. Foden's out. Bellingham's out. But even still, like there are a lot of the first team will be there. Kane's there. Saka's there. I do expect an England winning this, and I've doubled out with Germany playing at home to Hungary. Again, Germany at home. A lot of their first team will be playing. They will have to win this match if they've got any kind of motivation to win the Nations League. They're in the same group as Holland. They have to beat Hungary at home. Simple as that. So I'm putting England and Germany together. It comes out about 1.98. So a fraction off even money.
I think I also have the Germany pick coming up later in the Big Gun Aka. Little
Big gun
spoiler.
acca.
But yeah, I think they beat Hungary as well on the European Championships last summer. So definitely at home. I think it's a good pick.
Okay, so what have you got? That's all I've got for the footy this weekend. So what have you got?
Okay, I have a little bit more, but definitely keep in mind, I was just looking for value in these bets. First match I want to talk about a little bit is Wales versus Turkey, and I saw a nice line for the over 2.5 goals. It's over evens. It's 2.18, so 2.18. If you look at Turkey, I think they are very emotional team always. There's a lot of fire. There's a lot of attacking football. There's a lot of attacking talent as well. Definitely with Güler, who plays for Real Madrid. This line came in for the last six matches of Turkey. They score a lot, and they played prior this match. Wales Turkey. The last time they met, it was 1-0. Was a draw. And I think now definitely first match, Nations League, just give it a go. And I think this line would come in, and I think it's a very good odd, actually, 2.18 for over 2.5 goals in the Wales-Turkey game.
Okay.
Next up, you want to go me? I think you want to talk a little bit about this one as well. The Norway-Kazakhstan match. I saw value in this odd. I found that Norway to beat Kazakhstan is 1.4. I think that's a little bit. When I look at Norway, definitely when I look at the players that they have with Ødegaard and Haaland, you're thinking like they should play European championships, maybe even World Championship. There must be a period of time that they have like a chance, like they're too good not to be playing at those at that level. And I saw the odd of Odegaard to give an assist for 3.3. What do you think about that one?
That seems a very good price. And actually, I didn't. This game didn't catch my attention. You just telling me the odds there for Norway to win seems extremely good value. Um,
They're playing
my
away
view
from
on
home.
Norway.
I
What's
think
that
so.
say? Sorry, that
I think they're
say that
playing away
again.
from home. I
They're
think they're
playing
playing
away from
away.
home. Even still, it's Kazakhstan, right?
Yeah.
I think anybody with Verdegaard and Haaland in the same team.
I heard Borat is
Um,
playing.
sorry.
I heard Borat is playing for Kazakhstan.
Well, it could be. I
Oh, that
mean,
took you a long time, man. That took you a long time.
I did understand what you said. Borat. I did see this is when the accent comes in there. I was like, what is it? Yeah, Borat.
Borat.
Well, yeah, like honestly, like it could well be. It could be well a team of Borats, and I think Erdegaard and Haaland just should cut them open. Well, I agree with you. I'm disappointed that Norway didn't get to the Euros. I'm disappointed that they don't do more. I mean, you've got one of the best playmakers in Europe and clearly the best striker in Europe. And they do combine quite a lot as well, don't they? In terms of assist to Odegaard assisting Haaland. So that sounds like a good bet. And I'm sorry, those two just have to find a way of cutting through a team of Borats.
Definitely. Okay, on to the next one. We have the Copa America Trixie. You can play this as a Trixie. I looked at a couple of matches that I liked. The favorite to win. You can get Uruguay to beat Paraguay for 1.55. You can find Colombia to beat Peru for 1.73. Colombia looked really good last Copa America, I think. They played last summer. I think they lost the final to Argentina.
That's the fight. That's correct. That's the final. Yeah.
And Argentina to beat Chile. Maybe you should watch that match, to be honest. For 1.4, you can find Argentina. And like you can combine the countries that you really like, take a look at them, and you can double them up for over evens in any way you want to. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's always a bit strange betting the Copa America, but definitely those countries hold some value, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, sounds good. So do you, on this type where you've seen three that you like there, you're going to do like the different combinations of the doubles and the treble. Is that what you would play?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
definitely not the same bet sizes that I use when I'm playing on European football or some tennis bets that I have put out later. So keep that always in mind.
Yeah,
That's always
yeah.
like
I
a
think,
priority.
yeah. I think international football it definitely you can't research it in the same way as domestic football.
No.
So I would say always keep the stakes down from your normal size. And then finally, the big gun acca. Are we going to get 3 out of 3 for the big gun accas? Rob, what have we
Ooh,
got for us
I
this
feel
week?
the pressure now. The pressure is rising. The pressure is rising. Okay. First off, I have to go with my home country, the Netherlands, to beat Bosnia-Herzegovina for 1.2. Then Germany to beat Hungary, 1.3, I found them. Portugal to beat Scotland at home, also 1.3. And Sweden to beat Estonia. I'm hoping Isaac's going to show up and beat the Estonians for 1.25. And you can get, if you combine them all together, you can get around the price of 2.5. So a little bit over evens. And the big gun Aka. Hopefully
Okay,
it comes in.
6 to 4 in English fractions on that one. So 6 to 4 or 2.5 for the big gun acca. Sounds a formality.
Yeah, try to
Um,
avoid the minefield. Try to find.
yeah, there's always it's definitely a minefield out there, but yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, that's it for the footy picks this weekend, right?
Yes, that's it for the footies. Or maybe not. Like I don't know how you want to call it because that's a matter of opinion. Because we're going on to football next, but a different kind of football in your opinion, probably. We're going to American football. That's your cup of tea. And the NFL. What
It
do you
is.
have, Chris?
It's the start of the NFL season this weekend. It actually starts tonight. I'm extremely excited. I am a massive NFL fan. I'm not going to get into the debate over whether it should be called football or American football and our football is the football soccer. I do not want to offend anybody, but I'm English. I think it's obvious where I stand on the topic. Um, but anyway, NFL, yeah, I am an Englishman, but I am an absolute fanatic of NFL. An
I'm
absolute
not.
fanatic. I I have I have followed NFL for as long as I've followed English Premier League football. Don't want to give away my age, but yeah, I remember the 1990 um, Super Bowl, which is where I first fell in love with it. Okay, 1990. So what we're talking about now, like 35, 30, 40 years ago. Um, so and
Yeah, you can
I
guess your age now.
yeah, and it was the yeah, funny enough, it was the season after it was the same kind of yeah, the year after Arsenal had won the league in '89, and so this is where my passion for sport came. But yeah, NFL, my team is Buffalo Bills randomly as well. Not everyone's go-to team when picking a team, but it was because they were in this Super Bowl, and in the end they were in 4 consecutive Super Bowls and lost them all. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I that is a record. They've never won a Super Bowl, but they were always the underdog, mostly to Dallas Cowboys in those days. And I always like the underdog. It's a little bit like why I followed Arsenal. Obviously, like where I'm from was Arsenal as well, but also because Liverpool dominated the '80s and Arsenal were trying to catch them up. And I've always liked kind of the second best team. And at that time, Buffalo Bills were the second best. And yeah, I fell in love with NFL. And now my ritual is that every Sunday evening I get into my man cave and I watch the NFL. I absolutely love it. I just find it
Wow.
more real. I find it more real than football. Football is my passion. Soccer is my passion, but American football, I find it real. I find I can watch any game. I'm never bored, and yeah, absolutely love it. It's not something that you've really followed, though, no, Rob.
I am a Super Bowl follower at the moment.
Right.
So I think it's not big in Holland, American football. You can watch it live on TV and stuff, but I think there's not a lot of people playing it in Holland. I think they had like a team in Amsterdam once that was playing American football, and they played against American teams as well now and then, but not in the NFL, of course. And I think it was in a lower league or in a European league or something. I do like the Super Bowl, and I've been watching it for I think the last 5, 6, 7 years. Mainly
Mhm.
first because of the halftime show, like a big artist that I like was coming up, so I start watching it, and now I like to get like the whole deal. I go into the supermarket and I'm buying all those American stuff. I'm buying popcorn. I'm buying a milkshake. I'm getting burgers for dinner. So I have like everything packed and everything really American. I'm gonna make my own little party because most of my friends don't watch it. So sometimes it's a party by myself. It's a little bit depressing in a way, but then again, like I like my sports and I have to stay up all night to watch it, but I kind of like it though. So I'm trying to get in of it. I'm trying to get in it and liking it.
Into it. Into it.
I get the rules, I think, a little bit, but I don't know any historics about teams or tactics or players. And like I know Brady, Tom Brady.
Yeah,
That's
legend.
yeah, that's the one. And that's my only one. So you have to to
That's about as
learn
far as you
the
go.
ropes here. So what you
Yeah,
got?
well, look, the Super Bowl is a spectacle for sure. I actually find it one of the least interesting games, not least interesting games to watch of the season, because obviously it's the defines the winner of the season. But from a viewing perspective, eh, every break is a little bit longer. Every stop is a little bit long. Obviously, the half time's a lot longer. So the game, like everybody has an assumption that like NFL just is too long. It drags on too long because they've watched the Super Bowl once in their life. And the reality is the game doesn't go on as long as that usually because
Mhm.
every break, every stop, every turnaround is just a little bit quicker. So the matches can flow nearer 3 hours than 4 hours, and that is sometimes it can drag because it depends on the nature of the game, of when there's stops or when the clock flows. So, but yeah, like I say, I find that there's less bullshit. Like in football, you have people that's constantly diving, trying to con the referee. You have like referees are always the story, or quite often the story of the match. And in NFL, yeah, you do get bad referee decisions, but they're not normally the centerpiece of the match. There's not any of this feigning going on of
Do
injury.
you
It's
have a
just
VAR?
sorry, say that again.
Do you have a VAR? VAR, the
Well,
VAR.
yeah, they do review certain things. There's certain things that can and cannot be reviewed. But yeah, they do have it. They've always had it. And then yeah, you have the referee that speaks in the microphone to explain the decision and the outcome. So it's always been quite clear. It's not VAR per se, but yeah, there is video, and they can change calls on the field. But it just doesn't always seem to be the principal reason. I feel like like Premier League referees, they want to be the centerpiece sometimes. And sometimes it's that way. I just find there's no bullshit. It's just like really, athletes at the top of their game just competing each other. It's such a short season. Like there's only
Mm.
17 games in the season, so like every match means something to everybody. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like it's full on. It's full on, and usually a lot of the games come down to the last quarter and are thrilling to watch. So yeah, I mean NFL
Did
all
you
the way
find
for me.
anything in particular you liked betting wise
Well,
this week?
betting wise, it's the first week of the season. It's so hard to know. There is a preseason of NFL that's usually about 4 matches, but it's hard to gauge too much from it. I mean, the quarterbacks don't actually play that much in preseason because of fear of getting injured, because the quarterback's such an important role. Like you know, the odds between a team, it doesn't matter who you are, the odds between you winning or losing a match with your number one quarterback, and if that number one quarterback wasn't playing, is night and day. It's so important part of the team. And they don't play that much throughout pre-season for risk of being injured. So it's really hard to see exactly what's going on unless you're going to be watching all the training, all the off-season training videos and stuff that some hardcore fans will do. So it's hard to know. First week of the season is always hard. But I have come up rather than individual picks because I have got a bet of the day actually, but I'll do that in the bet of the day section on which is an NFL pick. But I prefer just a little ACCA this weekend, and I've split this ACCA into two parts. There's four teams, but I've got two parts to my reasoning. So kind of following up on your big guns, if you like, the big guns in American football right now are Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, absolute unreal. And the San Francisco 49ers. They are the big guns. They're the two favourites again to win the Super Bowl this year. They contested it last season. However, they've actually got hard matches this weekend, funny enough. Chiefs are playing against Baltimore Ravens, who are also a threat this year. But I'm just going to back them because they're the Chiefs and they're at home. It's the opening night game tonight. And so I'm going to back them on my account, and I'm going to back the 49ers. 49ers are playing the New York Jets. Also a difficult game. New York Jets didn't have a good season last year. They got Rodgers from Green Bay at the beginning of last year. He got injured in the first game and they just wiped out their season effectively. Expecting the New York Jets to have a strong season this year. But again, up against the 49ers. So I'm just going to go with the big guns to get the job done. They're both good odds because they're playing good teams and because it's probably the first game of the season. I think there's value in both of those teams. And then I'm just teaming that up with the shortest odds of the weekend, which is Buffalo Bills to win and the Cincinnati Bengals to win. These two teams are also in the top 7 in terms of Super Bowl betting. So I've gone for 4 solid teams, 2 really odds on at home and 2 because they are the guns. You put the 4 together. So again, Kansas City Chiefs, San Fran 49ers, Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals. They make a fourfold ACCA at 4.08.
If it
I
comes
like
in,
that.
we keep it on the show. We keep this
So
section.
anyway, there will definitely be more NFL this season on our pods and our posts because I will definitely be getting involved. And I will. One thing I will say, I have been bailed out so many weekends when I've had a poor weekend of football betting. I've been bailed out at the death on a Sunday evening with my American football betting. So I'm hoping that I can give you guys some winners every now and then. Okay, and the US Open tennis is next on the agenda. Rob, we've been putting out some posts this week on the US Open. There's been some very interesting matches. You're the tennis expert. Tell me a little bit about this week.
Yeah, definitely love to watch the tennis matches, more into the ATP tour than the WTA tour. I do watch it now and then, but I mainly stick with my betting to the ATP. US Open going on, lovely Grand Slam, very late for us Europeans. When you want to watch a match, definitely like the night match. It starts at like 2:30 at night. So it's kind of hard to keep track, but you can watch like the highlights or I can replay it in the morning. Up semifinals are up next, and we have in the first semifinals coming up is an all-American one. It's Fritz playing against TFO. So definitely there's gonna be another American in the final. I like it. I like that. Definitely when it's the US Open in New York, it gives a different atmosphere. It's gonna be a tough match. I really like Fritz when he played against Zverev. He is so solid. He just doesn't miss. He has a good service game at the moment. TFO is also in a good shape, but he's the underdog, and I think it's for a good reason. In this match, I like Fritz to get the job done. Wouldn't surprise me if it goes to 4 or 5 sets. Um, Maybe like a true American classic match will develop here. For betting wise, I like the next semifinal a little bit more. I did went against your boy Draper this week, but if I look at the match and I look at the odds, Sinner versus Draper, the second semifinals, the odds on Sinner are so unbelievable short. They're 1.13 you can get for a Sinner win, and I think you can get
Wow.
up to 5.5 for a Draper win. Do I think Draper's going to win this match? No, if you're honest.
Well, Rob, let me just jump in a little bit there. Like you have faded
Oh,
this
wait,
boy
wait,
twice.
no, wait. You leave me talking for just. He has a chance for sure. Like
Okay.
the way he's been delivering this week, Draper definitely has a chance. But if you're uh, like, I wouldn't go screaming it off the top of the roof that you think Draper's gonna win. But I definitely think he has a chance. And if there's a possibility for him to get this far tonight, maybe is the moment. Oh no, maybe not tonight. I think they're playing Saturday, right? Or Friday.
I think it's tomorrow. I think it's
I
tomorrow.
think it's tomorrow as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he definitely has a chance. Do you have an opinion on that match as well?
No, I think this will probably be the end of the road. I think bookies believe that. I mean, I've kind of agreed with you a little bit in terms of your picks against Draper in the last two matches. I did also fancy the others as well. I'm not as strong as you are in my tennis knowledge. But yeah, I wasn't expecting it, and he hasn't dropped a set all tournament either. It's been very impressive. Uh, is
You know
it going
what's
to be
also
another radical?
impressive?
Is is it going to be another Raducanu story? I mean, she won it out of the blue. Could this be Draper's version? I don't know.
He, if you look at his first serve percentage, points one, on a moment it was over 90% in his match. The guy serves unbelievably well. Definitely is because he's left. He's left-handed. Definitely from he is so he just goes for it. Like with Draper, it seems like he doesn't think, he just does it. And on those hardcore matches, and when you're in a flow, you never know. I think the bookies think it's a bigger difference between the two players than I think. So you can definitely find some value. If I'm looking at betting, you can find the overs 30 point of 35.5 games is the line. I think overs for 1.96 is definitely worth a shot. Even if he loses 3 sets, but close sets, so it's close sets, you can get you can get those amount of games. Um, I like quite a lot on this match because I I think the
You've
bookies.
got this match on your bet of the week as well, right?
Yes, I have this, but I'm not giving that one yet. I also like
Okay.
Draper over 15.5 games.
Hmm.
So even if like if you have a 90% first serve percentage, points one, and he's not like serving in 40% of his first serves, he's serving in like 70% as well. Like he's doing an amazing job. I think he lost like 1 or 2 points like to the Manawa, and he's quite known for having quite a good serve. So I think Sinner will or he chokes, but I don't think so. Like you're not gonna choke your semi-final. Like I could see it happening in the final, like first
Hmm.
final, big thing going on. But I could see him getting close a couple of sets as well. So 15.5 games for Draper, over even odds. And you can also do over 3.5 sets. And you can find that one for 1.82. I also think
Okay.
that's worth a shot. Or just Draper win a set 1.7. I think there's so many angles
It's
in this
one
match.
point.
You
Sorry,
can
can I just confirm you said that 1.7 for Draper to win a set in the match?
yes to win a set.
That seems good value, no?
I just don't like the handicaps on the game. on the games because like it could be like Sinner sometimes wins his sets like 6-1 or 6-2. So I don't like to play on the handicap on the games market, but I do like the handicap market when you look at the sets. So yeah, 1.7 for Draper just to win one set.
Wow. Okay.
So that's yeah, that's I think what I have to tell about the US Open so far. Let's go to the bet of the week. Final part.
It's yeah, we need to find a winner this week after both losing our bet of the week last week, and we won. We're going to keep a running tally as a little competition between myself and Rob. We are one all, one each. We won the first week, and we both lost last week. So who's going to go first for their bet of the week?
I'm gonna go first. I spoiled it anyway. Oh, I totally forgot it.
Well, I spoiled it.
My bet of the week is Draper over 15 and a half games won. Like even if he loses 7-6, 7-6, 6-3, that gets in, and I think he has definitely a chance to sneak in a set. And with that service games, I think he can play quite a lot of close sets, and then you'll get there. I think it's a very good odd for a little bit over evens. So
Just
Draper
over even money, yeah.
over even money, just 2.02 to be exact.
That does sound a good match. So, like you say, if he wins a set, it's looking really good, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and definitely with his service game or the way he plays. Like if you play from the back all the time and you don't have a big
Mhm.
serve, then you have to be good and consistent in the rally games. But there are like games if you watch him play, there are games that he has to hit like one or two shots from the back from the baseline, and that's about it. And the rest is just serves or return misses.
Okay, I like it. Sounds good. I'm taking a massive risk for my bet of the week, considering I'm coming off the back of a loss last week. I'm making a massive risk here. I'm choosing an underdog in the NFL. Um, as I mentioned, like NFL this weekend, all the teams that I really like to win are they're too short to use as a bet of the week. The football is also it's all too short on the teams that I like. So to try and find a reasonable odds, because for those that haven't listened, we tried to find bet of the week somewhere between kind of 1.7, 2.3, something like that to make it a little bit more interesting. So I've got a bet here that is a 2.35. um, they are an underdog to win this match, and it's the Las Vegas Raiders to beat the LA Chargers. Okay.
Okay.
They are 2.35. This is they're playing away. However, this is going to be like a home match for the Raiders because they're playing at the SoFi Stadium. Which is obviously in LA, and with the Raiders moving out to Vegas, all their fans are still in Los Angeles. So they are going to absolutely swarm this place. It's going to feel like a home match for the Raiders. Now, the one thing that puts me off my bet here is actually the last six matches between these two have been won by the home team. But this
Okay.
game, more than ever, is really going to feel like a home match for the Raiders. So I'm going to kind of ignore the fact that it's been won by the home team for six matches. This will feel like a home match. Um, and look, the Chargers have one of the best quarterbacks in Justin Herbert. Um, he has had an injury. I think he's still carrying that injury. It's a foot injury. He's not meant to be 100%. And their form towards the end of last season was horrific. They lost the last five matches of last season, the Chargers. One of them was against the Raiders in a match that produced a 63-21 scoreline. Now, I know you don't know much about NFL, Rob, but 63-21 is an absolute insane score. Um, and that is the highest amount of points scored in Raiders franchise history.
I guess the
And that
overs
was
came in on that match.
Yeah, although there's a massive argument that the unders is the play in this match actually, because both offenses are absolutely terrible. Um, but I will be staying away from that just because of this score last year. But that was quite near the end of last season. So um, and what's changed as well? I mean, in my opinion, like the Chargers have got worse. Yes, they've got one of the best quarterbacks carrying an injury, but they have lost his two outlets in Eckler and Keenan Allen. They were his two go-to guys in terms of receivers, and they're gone. So I just see them as a worse outfit. They've got a new coach in. I think they'll turn out to be okay. They're always going to be good with their quarterback eventually, but I think it might take a few games to get there. On the other hand, yeah, the Raiders don't look too impressive neither. They've got Minshew in now as their quarterback. He's a bit of a journeyman. Can be it'd be a bit of an underwhelming underwhelming quarterback if you were a support of the Raiders. But look, he can still do a job, and the reality is, just like they've Chargers got Herbert as a quarterback, Raiders have got Devontae Adams as a wide receiver. For me, still probably my favorite wide receiver in NFL. There's a lot of rumors out there that he's probably going to get traded at some point this season. He's moving towards the end of his career. He wants a chance of winning something. And I think if Raiders get off to a bad start, he could be on his way. But he's an unbelievable wide receiver. They've also got Michael Mayer as tight end and Jacoby Meyers as wide receiver, who are both good. If Minshew can click on the day, I just got a feeling on an upset here. So I'm going Raiders to win 2.35, my bet of the week.
Okay, probably gonna try and watch that match maybe.
Yeah, it should be an interesting match. I mean, there's a lot of people predicting it'll be a bit ugly, to be honest, because I think neither of the for some of the reasons I've mentioned there, the offenses might not be firing. They've both got reasonable defenses as well. So it could be an ugly match. But I'm hoping for a repeat of last year, 63-21 to the Raiders all day long. Love that. But it'll be interesting anyway. So yeah, definitely gonna tune into that one.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, that brings us to the end of the pod. Considering there wasn't domestic football this weekend, we've fair chatted about a lot of things there. So it's been nice to talk to you again, Rob. Where can people find us on the socials?
You can find us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and on Threads. We are on Threads as well. You can find us on YouTube. You can listen to our podcast over there, and you can listen to our podcast, I think, on all the big services like Spotify and Apple Podcast. We would really appreciate it. We had some nice listeners. We had some nice comments already. I think we went from the States, from Ireland, Spain, Holland, and England as well. So yeah, we're getting the hang of it.
Great stuff, great stuff. Okay, Rob. Well, let's good luck for this weekend and the rest of the week, and I'll be chatting to you again next week. Have a good one.
Happy betting.
Happy betting, guys.